Whether you just started your fitness journey or you've been training for a few years, in this video, I'm gonna show you 6 essential exercises that I believe you should be doing more of in 2024 to keep your body fitter, healthier, and stronger for longer. I'll be performing every exercise with you today, showing you the common mistakes most people do and how you can avoid them. I'll also be showing you the beginner version and the advanced version of each exercise so you can follow along where you feel comfortable. And at the very end, I'll also show you a simple stretch that I do every single day to make my body feel loose and energized. So make sure you watch each exercise in its entirety so you can get everything that you need to know to perform the exercises safely and effectively. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. My name's Arv. I've been a physiotherapist and fitness enthusiast for over a decade, helping people online look and feel stronger. I hope you're ready. Let's dive into the first exercise. The first exercise is a push-up. Now remember, I'm gonna go through 2 versions, a beginner version and an advanced version. I'm also gonna show you the common mistakes that most people do and show you how to avoid them. So the first one I'm gonna show you is the advanced version, which is going to be a push-up that you've probably seen 1,000 times. But I'm gonna show you the small changes that we're gonna do to make this exercise more effective for you. So the push-up that I'm talking about is this. A very strict push-up going up and down towards the floor. Now, the most common mistake I see people do is they actually have their lower back arched in this position and they come down this way. Now, although you feel a bit more of a stretch in your chest in this position, it's gonna start to kink your lower back and make you feel a bit uncomfortable in that position. So what we wanna do is actually we wanna flip the script and get that hip underneath, right? We wanna squeeze those glutes, twist that hip underneath, and keep those glutes squeezed throughout the whole movement as we come up and down. Now in this position, you wanna make sure that as you're coming down towards the floor, we're not flaring our elbows out. A lot of the times I see people as they go into their push-ups, they're flaring their elbows out this wide, and that's gonna put a lot of strain on the shoulders. So what we want to do is actually we wanna stay in a 45-degree position with the elbow. So as we come down to the push-up, we wanna kind of almost keep those elbows tucked. So if we go through this again, keeping the glutes squeezed and tucked under, coming down, and keeping with this movement throughout the 10 reps that we're going to do. Now, in regards to how many sets and how many reps, 3 sets of 10 is generally a rule of thumb, but the way that I would move forward if I were you is that I would pick a number that after the last rep that you perform, you only have 1 to 2 reps left. So that could be 10 reps for you, that could also be 15. So find that rep range and perform those reps, perform that exercise for 3 sets. Now, if what we just did then was a bit too hard for you, we're gonna go into a beginner version. So all we're gonna do with this is we're gonna now get onto our knees. Now, similar concepts apply with this, right? We're gonna make sure our hips are tucked underneath, so we're squeezing the glutes. And as we come down towards the floor, that elbow is coming at a 45-degree angle. That's my little cat coming through there. And we're gonna come down towards the floor and then coming back up. Now again, we don't want the shoulders to come out and the elbows to come out nice and wide. We wanna make sure that they stay tucked throughout that whole movement. And again, perform this for the X amount of reps that you feel you only have 1 rep left in the tank, and perform that for 3 sets. Number 2 is a deep squat. We wanna make sure that we're able to build the range in our hips and knees and ankles so we can get to this position where we can be comfortable down here. Now, we can do this with weight, and I suggest doing this with weight if you can. So I'm gonna have a kettlebell here. This is about 12 kilos. Now with this exercise, as we come down, the one common mistake that I see is getting the knees not wide enough. So what I mean by that is most people squat down with the knees either too straight or going inwards too much. We actually want to make sure we twist those knees outwards towards the outside of our shoulders as we come down into the squat. Now you can probably see how wide my knees are down at the bottom of the squat here. And that allows more hip opening or hip range at the bottom of that movement, which means less pinching and no pains at the hip and lower back. Now, if you're gonna do this without weight, you can just do it with your arms in front, but again, really focusing on getting those knees nice and wide. And you can see again, those knees are wider than my shoulders here. So I'm gonna show you from the side here, knees coming out and then coming back up. Now, another common mistake is people tend to bend with their knees first. What I mean by this is that people will come down to the squat looking like this rather than this. And the difference between these two is that we can leverage the bigger muscle, which is the glutes, to take the load of the squat rather than the knees. So instead of bending at the knees first, we're gonna get the hips coming backwards and then dropping down towards the floor. So we're gonna mix 2 things together with this squat. We're gonna mix wide knees and we're gonna mix with hip initiation of this whole movement. So we want to give that a go, and we want to make sure that when we're doing the squats, we're making sure that we're feeling the right muscles working. So we want to feel the glutes, and we want to feel a bit of the quads at the bottom of this squat. If you start to feel any pinching at the front of the hip, any weird feeling at the lower back, it could mean that we're getting into these weird positions here. Now, if getting that to that low position is still too hard for you at this current point in time, we can do what they call box squats. All we need with this is we're gonna grab a chair and we're gonna squat towards the chair, something like this. Now that we have a lovely chair here, a box squat is going to look like this. Exactly like the normal squat that we did, but now we're shortening the range of motion that we have going down towards the floor. Again, if this is too hard, we can go for a higher chair. So the higher the chair, the easier the squat. And all we're doing is we're touching our glutes or touching our bottom onto that chair. We're not sitting down, we're just touching, and then we're coming straight back up. And again, you want to perform this for the amount of reps where the last rep that you perform, you only have 1 to 2 reps left in the tank. And again, that could be 10 or 15 for you, and do that for 3 sets. Exercise number 3 is a bicep curl to press. Now this is a great exercise because we're combining 2 movements into one, so this is more of a whole body workout. Now the most common mistake that I see with this are people arching their lower back into this position as they're trying to get this weight up. And if that's happening to you, it's either the weight is way too heavy or we're not tucking and squeezing the glutes and engaging the core during this movement. So we want to make sure those hips tuck under, and then from there we're coming up into that bicep curl. And as we push up towards the ceiling, we want to make sure we're twisting our arms so that the palms are facing forward. So we don't want to press up like this, we want to twist. It's going to make it a lot healthier and easier for your shoulders. Coming back down and in the starting position again. So coming up into the bicep curl, pushing up, and then come back down. Again, you should feel this in your biceps and in your shoulders. If you want a bit more support for the lower back, so let's say your lower back's feeling a bit how you're going, you can get a step or you can get a chair, have one leg on top of that chair, and then you can perform that actual exercise as you did before. This time with a bit more support from the chair. Now, if this exercise is too hard, you can just make this a lot simpler and just go into a straight shoulder press into this position without the bicep curl. And then as you get stronger with your arms, you can then integrate the bicep curl into press. And again, picking that rep range where you only have 1 to 2 reps left in the tank and perform for 3 sets. Exercise number 4 is a single leg step down. Now this is a great exercise to build strength in the knees. Now the most common problem that I see or that most people do with this exercise is that they don't keep their foot flat on the step. What I mean by that is as they come down into this position, their heel starts to raise off the chair or off the step, and then they start to get a bit wobbly, but it also puts too much pressure on that front of that knee. So you want to make sure that your heel, your big toe, and your pinky toe are always in contact with the step as you come down into this exercise. And what you should be feeling with this exercise is your quads working here at the very front. So quad muscle really turning on, and then we're pushing up from that position back to the starting position. Obviously, to make this exercise easier, we would get rid of the step. So if we step down from here and we just use the floor, exactly the same exercise, we're coming here, down, and back up. This is great to build strength in the knees, your stairs. You can get back into running with this exercise. This is really a great exercise just to bulletproof your knee. And the fact that it's a unilateral exercise, meaning it's an exercise we perform with one leg, it allows us also to build balance and stability in our lower body. And exercise number 5 is a plank. Great exercise to build core stability, especially if you're doing functional movements like deadlifts and squats later down the track. So with this exercise, we're gonna do 2 variations. Obviously, this is the advanced variation. If you can see, my legs are nice and straight. The easy version would be on the knees, but let's start with this advanced version here first. So from here, the most common mistake I see is people sinking their chest down towards the floor. You actually want to actively be pushing through your elbows away from the floor. So push your chest away from the floor. And the same thing with the lower back. Get that hip tucked underneath. So squeezing the glutes and pushing your chest away from the floor is going to give you the best position to hold this posture and really get those ab muscles firing throughout this whole movement. So ideally with that exercise, you want to hold that for about 30 seconds and build your way up to 1 minute. If you get to the point where you're doing 1 minute planks with ease, you can do it with your eyes closed. It's easy peasy. start to throw a weight plate on top of your back. 10 kilos, 15 kilos, 20 kilos, that's gonna allow you to start to really build that strong core muscle and that position. Now, if that's obviously too hard for you, like I said earlier, we're gonna go on your knees, and same things apply, right? So we're gonna go into our knees, and again, making sure the chest is not falling towards the floor. We're actively pushing through the elbows to push that chest away from the floor, and making sure that hip is tucked underneath. So squeezing those glutes and holding that position. Again, working towards 30 seconds, then to 1 minute. Then once you hit that 1 minute, then you can start to play around with a straight leg. And then start here for 30 seconds, and then again, work your way up to 1 minute. Exercise number 5 is a single arm row, but this is a bit different. We're actually using our knee to stabilize our body, and we're twisting through that mid back. So this is great to strengthen your back muscles, specifically your lat muscle, but also to really open up that mid back from a long day of sitting and just hunched over work. Now, the most common issue I see with this exercise from a lot of people is they come up way too wide, right, with their elbow. So they come out all the way this way, and what tends to happen is you start to get upper traps working, and it starts to give you a lot of pinching in the neck and the shoulders. What you wanna do is you wanna make sure that shoulder is tucked back and down throughout that whole movement, and we're driving that elbow towards that hip as we come back, right? We're trying to keep a 90-degree angle with this elbow as we're rowing. Now, what I've got here is a 12-kilo kettlebell. You can use whatever weight you feel comfortable with. You can go heavier with these exercises because back is a big muscle, and you can use some weight to really get it working. Now, if this exercise is too hard for you, what you can do is instead of single arm, you can use 2 arms. So we're gonna grab the kettlebell like this. If you don't have a kettlebell, I'm gonna show you with dumbbells because probably most of you have dumbbells at home over kettlebells. You're gonna grab 2 dumbbells like this. I'm gonna do the same motion, but just with 2 arms. So this has a bit more stability with the movement, which means you're gonna be rocking left and right less, right? So more stability, and we're just gonna come up and down. And again, performing this exercise for the X amount of reps, that is gonna allow you to have 1 to 2 reps left in the tank, perform that for 3 sets. Now, I promise you a bonus stretch at the end that I do daily to make my body feel energized and loose, and it's called thread the needle. This is a great opener for the mid back and the lower back. You're gonna need a foam roller. If you don't have one, you can use a soccer ball. If not a soccer ball, you can just use the floor. Now, from here, we're gonna have a 4-point kneeling position. So we're gonna be in this position here, right? So I'm gonna see if I can find a good angle for you guys. Okay, hand, palm facing up towards the ceiling. Big breath in. As you breathe out, we're twisting and rotating. You're trying to get that shoulder down to the floor as close as you can as you twist towards this left side here. Now, what you should be feeling in this position as you rotate is a big stretch through the lower back and also a big stretch through the side of the chest here. Now, from here, you want to use your breathing to get further and deeper into the stretch. So big breath in through your nose, out through your mouth, and rotating this way. Now, you're gonna do about 10 to 15 on each side, right? And what you can actually do with this, which is what I love with this, is that you can actually start to change the direction of the rolling. So what that means is you can actually start to angle the roller upwards or angle the roller downwards to get a different angle with your stretch. And what you can do is perform 10 to 15 on each of these different directions. And go until your body starts to feel loose, go until your body starts to feel warm. And this is really gonna allow you to really open up after a long day of sitting and just hunching that we do every single day. So guys, if you enjoyed those exercises, you can find many more in my Move with Arv app in the link below. You can go learn more over there, where I take you through specific exercises, workouts, and home programs that you can do from the comfort of your home to get fitter and stronger. As always guys, like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.